Have you ever wondered what happens in that split second after you tap something on your phone? It feels instant, right? Well, today we're going to follow that single tap on its secret, invisible journey and uncover the magic behind it. Seriously, just think about it for a second. You tap an icon, and boom, something happens. But in that blink of an eye, there's this incredible, lightning-fast chain reaction that unfolds across this vast, hidden world. So what is actually going on in there? So let's put on our digital detective hats. We're going to trace the path of that single tap all the way from your screen, flying through the airwaves, into the cloud, and all the way back again. It's a journey that reveals this amazing layered system that makes your phone feel so seamless. All right, so our first stop is the app itself. And to really get our heads around how it works, let's imagine it's a restaurant. You know, it turns out pretty much every app you use is built on what's called a three-tier architecture. And this restaurant analogy makes it super clear. So this digital restaurant of ours, it has three main parts, or tiers. First up, you've got the presentation tier. Think of this as the dining room where you are. Then there's the application tier, which is like the busy kitchen. And finally, the data tier. That's the big, well-stocked pantry in the back.
Let's break this down a bit more. The presentation tier, the dining room, is the user interface. It's what you see and what you touch. When you tap, you're basically placing an order. That order goes straight to the application tier, the kitchen, which is where all the real work, the processing, happens. And if the kitchen needs ingredients, well, it just pulls them from the data tier, the pantry, which stores and manages all the information it needs.
Okay, so you might be thinking, why build apps this way? Why all the layers? It's all about something called a clear separation of concerns. See, by keeping the dining room, the kitchen, and the pantry separate, developers can upgrade one part without totally breaking the others. They can make the kitchen bigger or scale it without having to redesign the whole restaurant. It just makes everything incredibly efficient. So we've got our restaurant, but here's a little twist. What if that kitchen, the part doing all the really hard work, wasn't actually on your phone at all? What if it was in some massive, super powerful building somewhere else entirely? Well, that brings us to our next stop, the cloud. This whole idea is called mobile cloud computing, or MCC. And the concept is just brilliant. Your phone has limited power, right? And limited battery. So for the really tough jobs, it just offloads the work to these giant cloud servers. It's like your app is renting a massive industrial kitchen to do all the heavy cooking, so your phone doesn't have to break a sweat. And the benefits for your phone are huge. When all that heavy lifting happens in the cloud, your phone's battery life gets way better. Your performance is no longer stuck with whatever chip is in your device. It becomes almost unlimited. And you don't have to clog up your phone with tons and tons of data. The cloud takes care of all of it. I mean, here's a perfect example from everyday life. You take a photo, and you want to apply some really complicated filter. Instead of your phone grinding away and getting hot, the app just quietly sends the photo to a cloud server. That server does all the hard work in an instant and sends back the beautiful edited picture. That's mobile cloud computing right there, working its magic. So we have the app on our phone, and we have this powerful brain up in the cloud. But how in the world do they talk to each other? Well, they use this incredible invisible data highway. And to understand that highway, we kind of have to look back at the original rulebook that made this whole thing possible in the first place. And that rulebook is called GSM. It was the standard for the second generation, or 2G, digital networks. Now, I know we're on 5G now, but the basic architecture of how your phone connects to a network was all laid out here. You can think of GSM as the original digital postal service, designed specifically to deliver our little data packets. At a really high level, the journey has three simple steps. Your data travels from your phone to a cell tower nearby, and then into the core network, which is really the brains of the whole operation. Let's take a quick look at each part. The whole thing starts with what's called the mobile station. Now, that's just a technical term for your phone, which of course includes that super important SIM card. Your SIM is basically like a passport. It gives your device a unique identity, so the network always knows who you are. So once your phone sends out a signal, it connects to the base station subsystem. This is the cell tower you see every day, and its job is to manage the radio connection. Let's go back to that postal service analogy. Think of the cell tower as the local post office, receiving your data packet and getting it ready for the next leg of its journey. From that local tower, your data gets routed to the network switching subsystem. This is the heart of the entire network, the central sorting facility. It's the brain that figures out exactly where your request needs to go, whether that's a server on the other side of the planet or just the phone of the person you're trying to call. Okay, so we've seen the three key pieces of this whole puzzle: the app structure, the cloud's brain, and the network's highway. Now let's put it all together and retrace the complete, incredible journey of that one single tap.
So here it is, the full journey. Step 1, you tap your screen. That's the presentation tier. Step 2, the app creates a request. The application tier gets that order ready. Step 3, that request zips over the airwaves using the network. Step 4, it arrives at a cloud server for all the heavy lifting. That's mobile cloud computing. Step 5, that server grabs any info it needs from its database. And finally, step 6, the response travels all the way back and the result pops up on your screen.
And what's truly mind-blowing is that this entire round trip, crossing all these complex, separate systems, happens in a fraction of a second. The instant, effortless feeling of your phone isn't magic. It's just all these different layers working together in perfect, crazy fast harmony.
You know, the architecture we've talked about today was really built for one main thing: efficiency. It was built to solve the problem of our phones having limited power and our need for constant access to information. Which kind of leaves us with one last question to chew on. As our tech and our needs keep changing, what problem will the next layer of mobile computing be built to solve?